I always built it that way. I never even considered building a different authoring system to content management. No real database applications are built that way. I mean, you don't see a financial management system with Excel as the front end to it. You don't see the financial management system without its own reporting. And so these are fundamentally the parts of an application. You have the interface to enter the data, you have the management or storage of the information, and then you have the delivery of the reporting. And documentation is no different. You've got the authoring. Sure, it's a more of a rich text environment as opposed to fields and columns. You've got the management of that content, and then you've got the delivery of it. And in the case of documentation, the reports are effectively the documents. And yes, again, they're a lot more complicated from a formatting point of view, but fundamentally there's no real difference. So that's how the product was originally designed. The thought of using Word or another tool as the authoring platform and trying to poke that into some other way of managing the data just seemed ludicrous. So it was never part of the design. And it wasn't until I started really marketing the product internationally that I discovered that other people had actually gone down this road of separate tools for the different parts of the solution. So Author's just always been an end-to-end solution. It's how it was designed, and that's how it's always going to be. It's an interesting situation that we've seen in the market, and I think the reason that it's there is probably just a condition of where the maturity of the content management market's sitting at the moment. If you look at software, let's look at other industries of software. Software does tend to go through certain key stages of evolution, or let's call them generations of software. And I see there being 3 key generations of software so far anyway. First generation's typically what I would call a paper simulator. And examples of first generation softwares would be things like spreadsheets or word processors. So what they're doing is they're simulating that paper task. The spreadsheet obviously simulating the ledger, and the word processor simulating the typewriter or a notepad and pencil. So they obviously add heaps and heaps of automation and tools and benefits over doing it manually, no doubt about it. But at some stage, that whole paradigm starts to not break down and not really be sufficient. And you take the financial industry, for example. The next stage that financials moved into was what I'd call the best of breed. So Generation 2 is this best of breed type environment. And people who've been around long enough will remember that you used to go out and buy your accounts payable application, and then your accounts receivable from someone else, and your HR payroll package from someone else, and so on and so forth. And then you try and cobble all of these applications together into a solution. And the integration was often the most expensive component of it. And what you end up with was the strip mall of products that collectively delivered the solution. And it was a very, very fragile system because you've got maybe half a dozen vendors, all with their own roadmaps, all with their own direction, all taking their products in different places. And as they release their products, which the release cycles are never synchronized in any way, you're either forced to continue spending more and more and more money reintegrating the different components, or you're stuck at the time in which you implemented the system. And most organizations end up in that stuck phase where they have remained with these static versions of product, cannot benefit from the improvements that the vendors have come out with. So that then goes on to the third generation of software, which we'll see once again in financials with the likes of SAP, with the likes of Oracle, where they've come across and said, well, we're going to deliver you an end-to-end solution which covers the whole lot. So then your integration issues disappear. You're dealing with one vendor who can supply the training and everything on the entire system. And while I'm sure there's lots of downsides you could come with that too, the reality is you get a much more stable solution which you can move forward with and upgrade and continue to gain the benefits of as time moves on. So the same is true for our industry. Right now we're seeing a transition from the paper simulator stage to effectively the best of breed stage in this environment. So, but we can all see that from the direction other software are taking, that where we're going to end up is the third generation, the end-to-end solution. So we just decided to skip that whole second generation and move straight to third, because that's where everyone's going to end up anyway. We're already seeing consolidation in the market with acquisitions and companies now buying up different components and trying to present those as a solution, whereas in fact they're still separate tools that are cobbled together. You do obviously get some benefits with that. But with Author, because we set out to design this product as a single end-to-end solution, the level of integration that you get, you just cannot get in these best-of-breed solutions. And we're continuously coming up new clients that are moving away from these best-of-breed solutions into Authorit because they've got stuck in this time warp where they cannot upgrade their products. And in the end, this is where everyone will end up. So the benefits of the best of breed are purported to be that you're going to get a better class of product or choice in each area, whereas the reality is that it might be so for a very small amount of time, but IT never stands still, it's never static. With Authorit, we're releasing new builds every quarter, and so our customers could all benefit from new builds every quarter, and they're all automatic, and the upgrades are automatic. And they also benefit from the fact that the integration is absolute because they are one product. There is no having to move around from one tool to another to do reuse, to do publishing, to do translation, to do the authoring. It's all in the single tool. So this is, you mark my words, this is where the industry is going to be heading. We've just decided to take a shortcut and wait for people to catch up.